This really and truly, right? This is all about the moment. Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another TV review. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned with all the content that we produce each and every week in the world of TV and movies. My name is Cameron, Hole in One, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I just got that. uh, took a second. I'm Phil. This constructor meter goes to 11, Corwin.
Oh, that's right. Well, if you haven't guessed it by now, but of course you have based on the title of this video, we are here to review none other than episodes 1 and 2 of The Last of Us Season 2 on HBO. So, all right. You know, this really and truly, right? This is all about the moment, right? The moment. And of course, this is a spoiler review.
Very spoilery.
But this is all about the moment, the build to the moment, the aftermath of the moment, and the moment itself. I will quickly talk about episode 1. I really enjoyed it. I really did. The first few minutes, it was taking me a little bit to kind of get back into it, just a little bit. Even though I was excited to see Abby. Well, I say excited, intrigued, not excited, intrigued to see Abby introduced. And I was intrigued to get back into it.
Sorry, for those that don't know, you've actually played the games, right? You played
I have.
1 and 2. I haven't. So you knew what was coming roughly.
Yes, and there is some changes, but also a lot of stuff that is the same. And that is one of the things that also still has impressed me. And when I say impressed, I don't mean that I love for adaptations of things to be exactly the same, but it has struck me how much of things are exactly the same, whether it be certain shots, pieces of dialogue, and it's great because The Last of Us is a very cinematic game. But with episode 1, I enjoyed it. I think part of it, I think Joel for me was the episode stealer. Him having his therapy sessions and obviously alluding to Eugene and alluding to what happened with him and Ellie, because obviously that's the difference here, where you pick up and, well, not the difference, but different from what you thought even before you played the second game, where it picks up where there's some kind of rift between them. You presumably know the reason why, but it's not explained how they got there and how it came to be, or how it came to be revealed. And so I did enjoy that tension between Joel and Ellie. I really did. And also as well, the episode obviously ending with that looming threat of what's about to come, which was a holy SHIT moment, because it's like, are we about to do this? Like, are we literally about to do this in the next episode? And we did. We did. But what was your thoughts on episode 1, first and foremost?
We did it all. I got very quickly back into Ellie, like Bella Ramsey. Shout out to the rooftops and from the rooftops. They are amazing. They are like carrying the whole show. I mean, Pedro Pascal isn't bad either, but Bella Ramsey, man, I have no idea how they found her, and like I think they're perfect. Sorry, found them. They're perfect for that role. They're like immediately on board with it. It did take me a second just to get into like who everyone is, and like because for a second I was like, wait, is that Tommy?
Yeah.
So and like to catch up on that because it's been a while. But yeah, I love particularly just the relationships of these people. And that I think got me in very quickly as well. Just like how they interact with each other, just the history they seem to have. Like these characters between them. It's amazing. And that's mainly the first episode, I guess. My take on that.
Yeah.
I do love the Fireflies, and it gets, or like the rest of the Fireflies, I guess, like Abby's group. That gets a little bit into episode 2 as well. But I just enjoy that they're kind of set up as almost protagonists as well. That they're not the usual like mustache twirling bad guys who just want to hurt. They've been hurt. They're the victims, or presented as the victims, and they want to like, avenge the people, the loved ones they lost. So it kind of I'm almost rooting, or not even almost. I'm sometimes actually rooting for Abby and her
I'm
team,
not.
which maybe not anymore. But I don't know. Like, should we get into episode two? Like,
I think we
what kind
should.
of transition
And I
do you
think
think?
one of the things to point out, right? Because one of the major differences in how they've adapted this in the show in comparison to part two of the game is that in the game, when you're introduced to Abby, you're literally dropped in
Hmm.
as her, as the player playing her. Like you're just dropped in. You don't know who this person is. You don't know what she wants. You don't know anything. Literally, there's a cut, and suddenly you're playing as her. And you're playing the sequence, you're playing the sequence, they have, and then it's similarly to in obviously episode two, where she's crawling through the fence and the infected are kind of like on the fence and it's nearly caving in on her. You have that whole sequence, and
Hmm.
then boom, you hear a gunshot, a hand goes out, exact same in the game as it is in the episode. It's Joel. But whereas obviously in the episode it's Joel and Dina, in the game it's Joel and Tommy. So that Joel and Tommy are on their patrol. But long story short, everything plays out the same. Abby diverts them back to the lodge. Then they walk into the lodge. Things get very tense, and suddenly Joel realizes, "Hold on, what's going on here?" Boom, like shotgun to the kneecap, and then here we go. The difference. This is the thing that I'm conflicted with because in the show, obviously, they make sure to tell you immediately why Abby is doing what she's doing. They immediately let you know, and obviously, I think that's on purpose.
Yeah, no.
But I think similarly to the game, you have this emotional connection and relationship with Abby and Joel to the point where you couldn't give two damns about what Abby wants here. Like, who cares that your father was shot in the head? Like, you should be shot in the head too. Like, that's how you feel. And don't get me wrong, I know that that is also to a degree what Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann wants, where, they want you to initially feel that anger with her. And then we then go on this journey to then, not to say you have to sympathize with Abby, but you start to go more into her perspective and her journey and realize that Abby and Ellie are completely mirroring one another. Because this is obviously, a story about revenge and hate and being consumed by anger. And I get it. It's just that, like, I, as of right now, I still find her to be the villain. But I think that is a reception that they probably assume will happen right now because you've just killed off a beloved character.
Yes.
But let's go on to. I mean, what did you think of that scene leading up to the moment? Like, what was it like for you as someone who hadn't played the game and you're seeing this happen for the first time?
It devastated me. It was such an incredible but devastating scene. Like the last time it felt like this, I think, was the Red Wedding at Game of Thrones, in Game of Thrones, because it is such a he's gonna live, right? I don't know how he's gonna live without a kneecap, but he's gonna make it, right? I mean, this is Joel. This is the second episode. They're not gonna get rid of, and then it happens, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's this like shock moment where you just like stare at the screen and you don't know what to say because it's like, is he gonna get back up? Is this a dream? Is this like this can't be happening, right? So it peak TV, I think. As
Yeah.
just an incredible scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so emotional, so emotional, especially when you realize it's happening. And there is this sense that Pedro Pascal plays it off so well because there
Hmm.
is this sense where you can see that there is a bit of fear in what's going on here. But then there's also a sense of like F you, when Abby's giving her speech and he turns around and says, listen, just shut the F up and do it already. Like just get on with it. But obviously she takes the pleasure in making it longing it out and making
Hmm.
sure that he suffers as much as possible. Great prosthetics and obviously all the makeup and everything they did there looked tremendous. Seeing him like literally be bruised and battered, and obviously the classic scene where Ellie comes in, she gets pinned to the ground, and she's screaming, "Get up, Joel!" He does try, but she can't do anything about it. And then obviously the final blow. I think one of the interesting things I think they did in the show in comparison to the game is that in the show they've done it where we saw at the end of episode one that Joel and Ellie, they kind of pretty much reconcile. You know, they kind of agree to disagree, but they also agree to try and develop their relationship again.
Mm.
And so you have that there coming into this episode where, you know, immediately Ellie's excited to now go on the patrol with Joel, but Joel's like, you know, let her sleep, and he's gone with Dina. That I think is an interesting change, and I'm interested to see how really and truly, I think you can kind of assess right now how if it made a difference. Whereas in the game, the difference is that after that scene we see in the first episode where, you know, Joel comes in and pushes, you know, the guy to the ground who's being, you know, verbally abusive to Dina and
Mm.
Ellie, you know, the net one, and Ellie obviously basically says, you know, leave me alone, what's wrong with you? Like that's where we to a degree end. We don't it doesn't that scene between Joe and Ellie where they agree to basically still work on their relationship isn't shown until it takes place before that scene of the dance, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So it kind of still basically, long story short, Ellie and Joe's relationship is still very rocky come his death. And so she's dealing
Right.
with that trauma as well, at the fact that that's the way that they ended with that
Yeah.
particular moment. Obviously, they changed it up differently here, and I still think it works. But I think what's just intriguing to me is like just obviously we've got 5 episodes left. It's without spoiling, it's probably going to be very much so focusing on Ellie's side of the story, and I think we'll just have to see in time if they're able to do they did in the game of make convincing you about Abby's journey and her perspective. Because I'll be very honest, I felt that playing the game, obviously the game is far longer than what the show is going to be, but I
Mm.
felt that it started to become into a bit of a sludge. It started to feel very long. I wasn't really invested in Abby's story that much. I found it, to be honest with you, a bit more boring. And so I was very much so waiting in anticipation to now season two to see if they can do for me what they successfully did with other people who did like Abby. But what did you think about the rest of the episode? Obviously, you know, there's a lot of fighting and shooting and bloated and infected or bloater.
Um, to be fair, like I like that you know, the idea that they're like hiding under the snow and like keeping warm or something.
Yeah.
Right, that was it, right? And like the idea of these like smart zombies is very intriguing because that's like, oh, okay, we might have a problem here. Like you mentioned that fence scene with Abby, which is also like I for me that was like peak build up, right? She gets
Also, as
that.
well, quickly to
Yeah.
mention, so very quickly, I watched the make after the episode airs, they released like a short video called "The Making of The Last of Us,"
Ooh.
and they delved into that scene. Like they actually shot it exactly like that on location with the fence caving in, with all the people in their makeup, and that was really cool. But so continue.
It was real. But yeah, the fact that the fence collapses and like they're pushing further and further into her and pushing her down. So they like there's a restriction, and then that's already tense, right? And then one of them breaks through, and you know there's going to be more where that came from. And it's just how it builds and like the tension builds, and then the reveal of Joel being the one who helped her. I didn't see that coming. I mean, it made sense, but I so didn't see that coming. And just that, holy shit, what's going to happen here?
Yeah,
Of that moment. And so yeah, it's such a tense episode. And but I love the humor as well in this. Like I love the going back to the relationships between these people, especially in that little town they have. When Tommy has that speech
mm.
before they all go out, and like you know they're making fun. They're like, oh, you know, someone shot themselves recently, and they go, oh yeah, it was this guy, and like, yeah, don't be that guy. I forget.
Yeah,
But just like showing this how close these people are by now, and just like
yeah,
even with everything going on outside, they still have like their community and they're still like taking the piss out of each other. And that was a kind of a lovely little moment of levity, of humor.
yeah,
And then obviously again, like Bella Ramsey is that such a cool character and plays it so well. Um, yeah, everything with her is just funny, except for that one scene, maybe. Um, I was in stitches.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just yeah, it's fascinating and surprising almost to how much how funny this show can get with everything
Yeah.
it's doing. But it's just lovely switches of tone as well.
Yeah, I mean, and on that note, two final things from me. One, like I saw Bella Ramsey in like after the show, she was talking about how, or they, sorry, excuse me, was talking about how when they was reading the script and they realized that this scene was happening, they was
Mm,
talking about how, you know, they've had issues in the past of crying during scenes. And so they was thinking, crap, how am I going to do this? But then they started to talk about how what they drew inspiration from was all the moments that they had shared with Pedro Pascal in general. And that helped significantly with that moment. And, you know, they shot all of it in location. There was an actual blizzard. And so all of that, like, yeah, like, you know, really adds a lot to it, I feel. But my biggest critique of episode 2 by far
yeah,
is the infected and the bloater. In the game, I feel like you can get away with this idea of it's a game at the end of the day. So I think you can get away with this idea of, you know, the big boss and the bloaters coming at you and you're having to do
yeah,
everything you can to kill it. And there's, you know, hordes of infected coming at you. In this episode, in this show, it felt very unrealistic to me. I didn't believe for 1 second that this army of what felt like thousands of infected could not take over this town. And the
yeah,
way that they
yeah,
shot it made
yeah.
it seem like they were too invincible. The bloater, it made it seem like Tommy was just able to get out of there in the nick of time. And I think as well, like in the game, and I don't want to keep making references to the game, but I think this one is valid. Like in exactly right in the game, like you're never put in a position where you're having to fight off what feels like hundreds of infected all coming at you at once because you couldn't do that because you're gonna die in the game. And I felt the exact same way here in the show where you have like
Yeah.
thousands of infected running, and the idea that this whole town was able to take them out one by one, headshot by headshot, fire by fire. It just felt a bit unrealistic for me. And I would have actually even maybe preferred not having a bloater involved, maybe just keeping that for something in the game and having less infected, maybe just focusing more on the smart infected rather than something like a bloater that I think starts to feel very video game-ish in this world that was feeling quite real. And so yeah, that was my critique on that, you know?
That's
Yeah.
interesting because I had no problem with that. But then again,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe if I don't haven't played the games, that's I don't connect those two. I don't see the big boss, you know. Um there I just see the tension building and oh shit, now Tommy has to deal with that thing. And I don't want him to die. But yeah, so it kind of worked for me. You're right. There were a lot of infected like just storming this town and like they seem to be doing quite well, the townspeople with them. Well, they did take the infected did take a couple of people with them.
Yeah.
So I was kind of
A couple. Yeah. But yeah.
handful, but
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so let's go into our IC review scores for
Rogers.
these 2 episodes. We'll give our IC review score rating out of 10. So let's start with episode 1. For me, this was an 8 out of 10 episode, 8 ICs out of 10 for me. I still very much so enjoyed it. It took me a while, I think, to get really back into it. But once I was back into it, I was back into it. And I just love the setup. I love the moments. I love being with the characters again. And so 8 ICs out of 10 for me for episode 1. How about you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you? Um, I would give this a solid 9 out of 10. It was a good start back being back. Again, the ensemble was awesome. I even love like the stuff between Ellie and Dina, which we haven't quite mentioned, but that was there and it was like beautiful moments as
We'll get
well
into more of that as we go along, I
as we
think.
go on. So yeah, 9 out of 10.
Damn, and so obviously let's go on to episode 2. I'm also gonna give this one 8 ICs out of 10. And the reason why is that it's very similar to the first episode for me, where the build up to the moment and the moment itself, iconic TV for me. That whole sequence of the infected and the superheroes of Jacksonville, Wyoming, or whatever it is, taking on everybody, it was a bit too much for me. But still, the build up was great. The moment was great. And so I'm also going to give this one 8 ICs out of 10. It's the same for me. How about you?
I don't think I'm allowed to ever talk to you again after this. What's wrong with
I
you?
know, I know. But what's your
I,
score for episode
if I
two?
could, I would give this an 11 out of 10. Man,
Yeah.
this, yeah, but I'll stick to 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
Because I'm still right in the head. Um, but this, yeah, like I said, it was an incredible episode. Like it will stick with me, just like the Red Wedding, which I'm still thinking about. Like, what an incredible moment of television or streaming. It'll last, I think.
Yeah.
So that and everything around it, and just again the relationships and how that
Yeah.
factored into how much of a shock it was. And yeah, 10 out of 10 from me.
Woo. Well, damn. I mean, so that will do it for our review of episodes 1 and 2 of The Last of Us Season 2 on HBO. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, share, drop down in the comment section below. Let us know on your thoughts of episodes 1 and 2 and the moment itself. And for anyone who has played the game, what your feelings were having experienced that again. And for anyone who hasn't played the game, what was your experience similar to Phil seeing this in the first time and how profound it was for you? Once again, my name is Cameron, hole in one, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
Phil, this constructor meter goes to 11. Cool. Got my last
That
name.
one keeps making me laugh. That's right. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Thank you very much for checking out our review today, guys, and we will see you next week for episode 3. Take care, guys.
I'm gonna have a cream of mushroom soup now. Bye.